Liang Qichao was one of the most famous Chinese scholars, writers, and reformers who lived during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. His life was a journey of struggle, determination, and hope as he worked tirelessly for the future of China. His ideas shaped the course of Chinese history, and his love for his country inspired generations to come. This is the story of Liang Qichao, a man who dreamed of a modern, stronger China. Liang Qichao was born on February 23, 1873, in a small town called Xinhui in Guangdong Province, southern China. His family was not rich, but they placed great value on education. His father, Liang Lian, was a government official and a scholar, and he encouraged his son to study hard. Liang's mother was also supportive of his studies and would often teach him herself. From a very young age, Liang was an enthusiastic learner. He loved to read books, especially about Chinese history, philosophy, and literature. His parents were pleased with his love for learning, and they provided him with the best education they could afford. Despite coming from a modest background, Liang dreamed of doing something great for China. He wanted to help his country overcome its many problems and challenges, especially when it came to competing with foreign powers that had been expanding into China. Liang's childhood was marked by an intense interest in classical Chinese literature and philosophy, especially the teachings of Confucius. He had a deep understanding of Confucian ideas about virtue, morality, and government. These ideas would later play an important role in shaping his thoughts on reform and modernization. Liang was not just a typical student. As he grew older, he became more curious about the world outside China. He had heard about the great achievements of Japan and other Western countries, and he wanted to understand what made them so strong. At that time, China was falling behind other nations, especially Japan, which had rapidly modernized. Liang was determined to figure out how China could become as powerful and successful as these countries. After completing his early studies, Liang Qichao attended the prestigious Ziji Tongjian Academy in Guangzhou. There, he met many other students who were also interested in reforming China. He spent time discussing political ideas and the future of the country with his peers. These experiences made him even more passionate about bringing change to China. In the late 19th century, China was in a state of crisis. The Qing dynasty, which had ruled China for over 250 years, was weakening. The country was suffering from foreign invasions, internal rebellions, and economic difficulties. People were dissatisfied with the way the government was running the country, and many believed that China needed to change in order to survive in the modern world. Liang Qichao was one of those who believed change was necessary. He began to develop ideas about how China could become strong again. He thought that China could learn from the West and Japan. He believed China needed to adopt new systems of government, education, and military in order to compete with foreign countries. In the late 1890s, a great reform movement began in China. The movement was inspired by the idea that China needed to modernize to stay competitive with the West and Japan. One of the leading figures of this movement was a man named Kang Youwei, a famous scholar, who also believed that China needed to embrace change. In 1898, Kang Youwei and Liang Qichao joined forces to push for the 100 Days Reform, a period of rapid change that aimed to improve China's government, education system, military, and economy. The two reformers believed that China should adopt Western-style political and economic systems in order to become stronger. During the reform period, the Emperor, Guangxu, supported the idea of change. For a short time, it seemed like China might finally embrace modernization. However, many powerful people in the government did not agree with the reforms. They feared that the changes would weaken their own power. The Empress Dowager Cixi, the most powerful person in the Qing court, was also against the reforms. She believed that China's traditional ways should be preserved, and that modern ideas could harm the country. In the end, the reform movement was crushed. The Empress Dowager Cixi staged a coup, removed Emperor Guangxu from power, and reversed the reforms. Liang Qichao and Kang Youwei were forced to flee the country in order to escape arrest. They went to Japan, where they could continue their work and ideas. After the failure of the 100 Days Reform, Liang Qichao found himself in exile in Japan. Despite the disappointment of being forced to leave China, Liang continued to write and share his ideas about how China could modernize. In Japan, he met other reform-minded Chinese scholars and intellectuals, and together they discussed the future of China. In Japan, Liang had the opportunity to study and learn from the rapid modernization of Japanese society. Japan had recently undergone its own Meiji Restoration, a period of great change in which the country adopted many Western ideas, such as modern education, industrialization, and military reforms. Liang admired Japan's ability to change quickly and become a strong, modern nation. He was convinced that China could do the same. Liang Qichao published many works in Japan, where he expressed his thoughts on China's future. He called for more education and greater political participation by the people. He believed that young people were key to China's future and encouraged them to study hard and embrace new ideas. His writings were widely read by Chinese intellectuals, and many young people were inspired by his vision of a better China. Liang Qichao's efforts to reform China continued for many years. He hoped that one day, China would be able to overcome the problems caused by the Qing dynasty and create a more modern, democratic government. His dream was realized in 1911, when the Chinese Revolution broke out. The revolution, led by Sun Yat-sen and other revolutionary leaders, aimed to overthrow the Qing dynasty and establish a republic in China. The revolution succeeded and the Qing dynasty came to an end. The emperor, Puyi, was forced to abdicate, and China became a republic. Liang Qichao was overjoyed by the revolution's success. It was a victory for the ideas of reform and modernization that he had long championed. After the revolution, Liang returned to China, eager to help build the new republic and continue his work for a stronger China. However, the challenges facing the new republic were enormous. China was still struggling with political instability, regional conflicts, and foreign influence. Different groups vied for control of the country, and the government faced many difficulties in trying to establish a stable and modern society. In the later years of his life, Liang Qichao focused on education and intellectual development. He became a professor and continued to write about the importance of education and the need for reform in China. He believed that China's future depended on the education of its people, especially the younger generation. Liang also promoted the idea that China should protect its cultural heritage while embracing modernization. He believed that the traditional values of China, such as respect for family, community, and loyalty, could coexist with new ideas and technologies. He urged Chinese people to be proud of their history and culture, while also learning from the West and Japan. Liang Qichao passed away on January 19, 1929, at the age of 56. He did not live to see all of his dreams realized, but his influence on Chinese history was immense. His ideas about reform and modernization continued to shape China in the years that followed, especially in the early 20th century. Today, Liang Qichao is remembered as one of the most important thinkers and reformers in modern Chinese history. His ideas about education, political reform, and national strength continue to inspire people in China and around the world. He is regarded as a pioneer of modern Chinese thought, and his legacy lives on in the ideas that continue to shape China's path to progress. Liang Qichao's life is a story of hope, determination, and love for one's country. He spent his life working for a better future for China, and he believed that the key to that future lay in the hands of the young generation. He inspired many young people to think critically, work hard, and strive for a better tomorrow. Though he faced many obstacles and challenges, Liang never gave up on his dream of a modern, strong China. Liang Qichao's legacy shows us that even in difficult times, we must continue to fight for what we believe in. We must dream big, work hard, and be brave enough to change the world for the better. Just like Liang Qichao, we can all contribute to the future of our nations and the world.